Hi everybody, it is Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center in far west Texas. Mine is Cascade the Wonder Dog, who is stuck under the bed. Big 100-pound dog crawls underneath the bed and then he can't get out and he waits for somebody to pick him up. So he's stuck under the bed. He doesn't get to greet us today, but I will. How's that sound? Okay, we are going to, in this video, I'm going to build a light bar for the greenhouse, and as always, impart some wisdom, because even though I don't feel it inside, I guess I'm a grand old man at 66 years of age, and if I don't give you some wisdom that maybe you didn't get from your grandfather because you didn't know him, or he just wasn't around, or just maybe was a baby boomer like me and a pinhead that didn't have any wisdom, so I impart wisdom as I can and advice in here, so in my videos. So we're going to build a light bar, but we're going to build a light bar and it's got a little bit of a backstory that you might like. Now, if you're one of those impatient people who's got that graft in your hand that has a 144 character attention span, skip ahead. But if you're not, and you're somebody who's followed our videos and somebody who wants to learn how to live sustainably, live in the world that's coming, you know, today they just declared another glacier in Switzerland gone, extinct. And that's going to be, we're going to see a lot more of that. You guys that are a lot younger are going to see a lot more of it. So this is the type of thing you need to learn how to do, or you need to know how to do, or know that it's available to be done. Now the backstory on building a light bar is, if you follow my videos, maybe on the live stream, you've heard me complain since mid-August, really, complain that I had something that came up that forced me to spend all of my income for the month of August. Well, we're on Social Security. We're living on a fixed income. How many times have you heard that sick thing? But we are on fixed income. I spent all my income, takes me 2 months to recover. And I've been going, oh, I spent all my money. Well, yeah, that's fine. But the way to handle a problem is to hit it head on. So instead of complaining about the loss of disposable income, look at it as I looked at it rather as an opportunity to do some things that needed to get done and get creative. Figure out, what can I do that doesn't cost any money? Well, we're working on the greenhouse. Still have to glass it in. Now that has to wait for money. Nobody's giving me any 2x4s and 2x6s, so I've got to wait for money on glassing it in. But that we'll handle very quickly. But there are some other things, and one of the things that I've had in the greenhouse, in my float beds, is the plants aren't growing as fast as I'd like them to grow. I've got, I believe I've got 7-week-old basil, it might be 8 weeks old now, that's only about that high. From, you know, the top of the net pot to the top of the leaves. They're only about like that, and I think they should be bigger and bushier, and they're not. Now part of that is because we didn't have fish in there that were giving us enough nutrients, so I would occasionally make a chicken manure tea and pour it in there. But that might be part of the issue. The other part of the issue I thought might have been light, and that comes up to what we're doing in this video here. I didn't think we were having enough light, and especially now as we're coming up on the equinox and then we're going to be going towards the winter solstice, I'm thinking we need light overnight. If I can keep light on these things 24 hours a day, that probably will get them to grow a little bit better. So you start looking at grow lights, right? I'd found some grow lights that were really nice grow lights, and they said more than 10 available, $49 each. Well, for 49 bucks, they would have covered a 4 foot by roughly 3 foot area of the grow bed. Well, that's fine, except I didn't have the 49 bucks because of what happened. Didn't get to buy them, and what do you know? They sold every one of them, and it's not available anymore. Well, I'm going, it's not available, and I spent all my money. Wait a minute, there's an opportunity here. How about I make one? So I had a bunch of spotlights. Now these are 10-watt LED spotlights that I had ordered by mistake, way more than I needed. And I had nothing to do with them, and nobody around here is gonna buy them. And so, you know, they were just sitting around, and I said, what if I took those and used them? So I went on YouTube and started looking at all the videos about grow lights. And these guys, one guy was saying, oh, I've got these $700 grow lights. And I'm saying, man, you could have shopped at Whole Foods for a long time for 700 bucks for 4 grow lights. Well, then he said, well, they were donated to me by a company, and here's their information. But I'm not endorsing them, but here's their information. Okay, I see now why he was talking about it. But the thing is, $700. And then you start talking about all these other aquaponics components that are really pricey, and that stuff starts adding up. And I got to thinking, well, yes, they're not blue or red lights. They're white lights, but they're very bright. They're super bright. Lots of lumens. Now, I don't know how many lumens because they try to confuse you. They really do when they list these things. So I'm not sure how many lumens, but I know they're 10 watts. I know where I know how bright they are because I'm using them as security spotlights here in the poultry yard. So I thought, let's make a light bar and hang that light bar up, even if it's not ideal, because I know there's a troll out there or an aquaponics snob out there. You have to have a specific grow light that puts out this wavelength of 492.16 kg Cluex ones, and if you don't have that, they just aren't going to grow. Somebody's going to do that. Well, hey, got news for you, pal. The sun doesn't know that, nor do the plants. They don't read the book and they don't listen to your videos. So let's see how my spotlights do. Now it's going to take a while. This is late September 2019, and I'll mention it further down the road. Give it probably 2 months down the road. So if you're watching it anytime after December 2019, I will have said something about whether the grow lights worked, whether the spotlights worked as grow lights or not. But here's the thing. I'd already bought them. I wasn't using them. They're free to me because I wasn't going to use them. I have got tons and tons of connectors. I've got all sorts of little short pieces of Romex wire. And I have these. Now, for the life of me, I don't know what in the heck these are. They came to me as part of a deal. A guy was moving out of the area, and he knew I was always advertising for, and I am always advertising for, on Facebook for, I need this, I need that, I need this. He said, hey, I got a whole bunch of stuff. Would you like to come and pick through it and see what you want first? I said, yeah, please. So I went there and looked at his stuff. And while I'm there, he said, you know, I'd really love to just get $150 for all this. If you want to buy, give me $150 for it. Go ahead and take it. Well, he had like $500 worth of windows that I put in the greenhouse. Just that, you know, $500 worth of windows. And he's telling me $150 for everything. So I got some irrigation pipe, some 6-inch irrigation pipe that I can make into, I'm drawing a blank here on what it, for the aquaponics, and just run the water down. I think it's called a something film growing. I could do that with it. He also gave me 2,500 square feet of roofing. Now it was used roofing, but I can use it to build agricultural stuff with. Even though it's got some holes in it, the roofing is fine. It just has holes in it, and if I line up my purlons with the holes, it's no problem. He had utility poles, 6-foot long, essentially telephone poles, utility poles. He had a whole bunch of stuff, and some stuff I couldn't identify, and galvanized pipe. I mean, 300 feet of galvanized pipe, $150, and these. Well, I gave him $150. I don't have a clue what these are, but when you look at it, it's a channel. I'm sticking my hand in the channel here. This will be a nice channel to make, to hide my wiring in. It's secure enough. It's about, I believe it's 7 feet long, so it'll hang nicely over the media beds. And all I have to do is install my spotlights. These are my 10-watt spotlights. I've done 2 of these already. This is the 3rd one that we're going to build together. The other 2 have 5 lights in them. This is only going to have 4 because that's all I had left were 4 lights. So I'm going to divide, space out the 4 lights, and we're going to build this thing. And I'm going to tell you, it's good. This is going to be essentially 0 cost, no cost, and I'll have a grow light. And it sure beats the hell out of $700, doesn't it? Let's get started. Alright, so the first step was just to measure out and drill holes where I want these lights to be. We have to space them out. So I spaced out the 4 of them, and then very simple. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. You just attach the spotlight to the rail. And there we go, it's in. Now the wires for the spotlight, we want them to go in the track, so I drill another hole here. So we get the wires through there, and now when it comes to wiring, I just wire it. So let me get these 4 hooked up. So now I've got my spotlights installed onto the rail, I've got the wires brought through. It's just going to be a matter of wiring the 4 together and creating a pigtail to connect to the main electric. Now, here's something I thought of while I was doing this. A whole lot of you are scared of electricity. Oh, I'm frightened of it, I'm scared of it. That's a good thing, but I don't know that scared is the right word. You need to have a healthy respect for electricity. Don't get cocky about it. I've seen guys get cocky, I've seen electricians get cocky. They'll work with, and I've done it myself, live 110 volt wires. Well, 110 won't kill you unless da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, yeah, it won't kill you sometimes, but sometimes it'll kill you dead. And you don't want to be killed dead. You can be killed a little bit, but you can't be killed dead because there's no coming back from that. So having a healthy respect for electricity is very good. And if you don't have a healthy respect for electricity, and you're not trying to be a new homesteader, then don't try something like this yourself. But if you do have a healthy respect for it, it's really kind of easy. You know, those old standardized tests we took, the baby boomers, before every child is an intelligent child and every child gets an award, before all that stuff came about, we took these tests, and the test said you placed in the blank percentile, the 78.9% percentile or the 92.3% percentile. Now, I happen to score rather high on that, but even if you scored 60% or 40 or 51%, that means that you are potentially smarter than 70% of the planet or 51% of the planet. That means that you're probably smarter than some brain surgeons, so if they can do it, you can do it, you just have to learn. Same thing with electricity. If some people can do it, and I've seen some real dunces working with electricity and doing a beautiful job, by the way. But if they can do it, you can do it. You just have to learn the right way. Now, I'm not necessarily going to show you what an electrician would say is the right way. I'm going to show you a way that's not going to fail, and is going to work perfectly fine for me, but it'll never pass a butt-crack building inspector's inspection. Never. It won't meet code, but it'll work perfectly great for what I'm doing here in these rails. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is go on to that. Now, I have some old Romex, and when I say old, this stuff definitely cannot be reused in the walls because the casing is cracking. But it's perfectly okay for me to use to connect. If you'll notice, this wire and this wire don't meet, so I have to have a gap in there. Plus I've got 4 to connect together, and then I have to have a pigtail. So what I'm going to do is start wiring these together. I'm going to show you how I do it, but I want you to understand that caveat. It's not going to meet any code. It's not going to, UL is not going to approve this. Is it going to start a fire? Hell no. Come on, give me a break. It's not going to start a fire. But I'll show you how I do it. And let's get going. Hey guys, perfect example of what I was just talking about. I almost did myself. Now this Romex that I've got, I already said was a little bit too old to want to be using somewhere because it, somewhere where it might get a little movement, because it's brittle and it's going to crack. So I went out to where I've already wired in the greenhouse to get a piece of Romex that isn't all brittle. So it's all wired up. And I just grabbed the end, and I had my lineman's cutters, and I'm like this, saying, well, all right, I'm going to cut these. But something said, why don't I want to cut this? I need to cut it. Why don't I want to? Well, then it occurred to me, it was a live wire. I was about to cut through both, ground them out. Wouldn't have hurt me necessarily, but it would have, in your house, it would have popped the circuit. In my house, it would both pop the circuit and the inverter, shutting the whole power off for the whole house. And it could have not done that, and it could have given me a vicious shock or killed me because I was working with next to water. Always, always, always have a healthy respect. Think, look hard, make sure you don't make a mistake like I almost did. Okay, so it's finished. It's just that simple. Here's my pigtail. I've attached the pigtail using a wire tie so that this won't move and wiggle these wires in here. Then we've just simply connected each spotlight to a length of wire, 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 and I've used wire nuts to attach that all together. Now guys, the whole purpose in showing this video and showing how you can build it out of nothing like this was really, it's kind of a response to my being angry and having to deal with the fact that I didn't have money for a while. I mean, when I say I didn't have money, we didn't even have enough money to count our pennies to go get gas, because it cost 3 gallons of gas round trip to go in and out of town. So, I mean, I could have sit there and complained about that, but instead what I've done is I've thought about several things I could do. This is one of them, that don't take any money at all, that we need done. Now, the point of the exercise, though, is to make do with what's laying around. So please, please, and I know there's some idiots that won't listen to this, but please, please, don't write me and say, why didn't you do this? How come you didn't do this? Next time do that. Why didn't you put this in? I did with what we had here that was available to use. I had an old wire that was great to use in here, couldn't be used anywhere else. I have all these wire nuts. I had the screws, I got the lights. It cost us nothing to build this. And that's the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise is, now why didn't you buy this thing that cost $82 to put it together with? Well, because I didn't have 82 bucks. So now let's test it. And the way I'm going to test it is going to also get a couple of people's panties in a bunch. Actually bunched tighter, let's put it that way. What's going to get their panties in a bunch? Well, we're going to test the light. Here I have my handy dandy extension cord, and here I have my pigtail. But wait, he doesn't have a plug on it. No, I don't have a plug on it. Alright. Basics of electricity, though. Nowadays, it wasn't this way when I started doing this stuff 60 years ago. And guys, I have done this for 60 years, not had a problem ever. I haven't been lucky, I just haven't been stupid. The white wire, which is your neutral wire, always goes when you're holding the plug in front of you on the left side, or the neutral wire, the white wire, goes to the larger of the paddles. So you know that. Now you can reverse it and it won't do anything. It's just safer that way. And a lot of this stuff that they tell us is safer, a lot of these building codes things, honestly are for that 1 in 1,000 chance where somebody will get shocked or hurt or killed or whatever. And usually it's the stupidest person on the planet. And really, do we want them out there breeding? That's a bad question. Okay, so here we are. White in the big one, black in the little one. Let's give it a test. 1, 2, 3, 4 lights are on. There we go. Nothing exploded. You notice I'm not screaming and getting shocked because I'm not being stupid. I'm not standing in water and doing this. And I'm not holding onto the bare copper wire. Lights work. But I don't want to end the video here. What do you say I hang these lights and then I come back and show you the lights when they're hooked up and turned on? Sound like a deal? Okay. Well, as you can see, our light bars are up. That's the one we worked on together. The other two are up here. Now I might have to adjust the height a little. I've got to wait and see. They could come down a little and still keep all the light on the tables, but I think because of the brightness, each one is 10 watts, and a lot of the grow lights that I saw were only 5-watt grow lights. They had some silly formula that said 450 watts, but they only used 5 watts. I couldn't understand it. Maybe you guys can, but all I understood was the difference was several $100s. So we've got these up, and I'll know in a couple, 3 weeks whether they actually help or not. But we did it. There it is. No cost. Up and ready. Now I wanted to expand on something I had said a little earlier too about not having the money and having to improvise. You know, when you start thinking that way, which I've kind of gotten a little out of the habit of doing, but a good example is behind me. I don't think you can see it through here, but there's one water tank over my shoulder here. And I've been saying for 2 years at least, maybe 3 years, we're going to buy 2 more of those water tanks and put them in here for a total of 9,000 gallons. And I've been saying that The only reason I'm not doing it is I don't have the money. Well, they're $1,500 each or $3,000. So this got me thinking as I was trying to come up with the grow light, maybe I could build a cistern. Well, not maybe, we know I could build a cistern. So I designed a cistern that I can build out of, again, everything I have laying around here that if I just used my materials with no extra money, it would be about 7,200 gallons. Now that's 1,600 or 1,200 more gallons than what I would buy for $3,000. If I make it a little bit bigger, I can have it up at 9,000 gallons, but I'd have to pay about $250 for a liner. Well, $250 for a liner for 9,000 gallons is a lot better than $4,500 bucks. So these are the types of things that we have to start thinking of, not only to save money where we can, especially people like me, people like you, because, you know, we've all become slaves to that life debt, except those of us who are debt-free. We got to break that cycle, and a good way of breaking that cycle is things like we've just done here. So that's going to be my next project that I'm going to do, will be building the water cistern. Now, I haven't decided whether it will be 7,200 or 9,600 gallons, but we'll know when I start it. And until I start it and a couple of more low-dollar, good value, low-dollar, good value projects, there, I spit it out. Until then, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center in far West Texas saying, see you next time.